One of the more complex things I'll get into now, I'll just stop this. So one of the more complex things would be PWM. So I had a whole section on that last time. I'll try to run through it real quick, but I've extracted some of the difficulty out of PWM because there's just so much functionality that you can do with it. So let's create a PWM object just simply. If you wanted to use it for whatever reason, just start it up. Oops. Oh wow, I called it PMW. Let's fix that. Alright, let's try that again. Yeah, okay. Well, it doesn't matter. So let's start it up. And you can see it's a nice little real dim LED. The reason it's dim is because it has a very low duty cycle. You can read the period in it. You'll see that it's at its default value, 60,000. And if you were to read in the, or if you wanted to change that, I mean, you could change it with right period, which is right here. Change that to 65,535. That's the max. And then it'll get a little bit dimmer, we'll find. Just a tiny bit dimmer because now the comparison value is very low. And you can kind of see that. You can get the duty cycle. You can see that it's 6.87%. So why don't we change that to like 75. You'll see that it gets a lot brighter. And yeah, it's pretty simple. PWM stuff. You can write the compare value too. So you just get you have a lot of options here. You can, let's make it 30,000. So close to 40 something percent. Would be the new duty cycle there. You see it gets a little bit dimmer, and then you can get the duty cycle back and see, 40 something percent. Pretty simple. Another cool thing is you can just set the temporal frequency. So I can do like set frequency 1, and now we should see that it blinks at 1 hertz, which it does. And you get a little warning there because I have the debug flag on. So sometimes because it uses clock dividers, it might not get exactly what you want, but you can see what it actually gets if you do get frequency. And you see we got it exactly. We can change that to like, hopefully the camera can pick up slightly higher. Set frequency 10. You can see now it's blinking at 10 hertz. Hopefully the camera can pick that up. You can go up pretty high. First we'll make the duty cycle higher. Make it like 75. And now we can do like PWM dot set frequency. You're not gonna be able to see this at all, but you could do like if you needed it like 2 megahertz or something, should be able to do that. Now it seems just like it's completely on, but it is actually. I'm just moving pretty fast. So that's basically, if you think of some application for that kind of stuff, you can use PWM. Otherwise you can just use it to kind of blink lights on and off, But you can use PWM for a lot of other stuff like servo motors and tones, things like that. And for that reason, we've kind of abstracted out how to do that stuff. So if you wanted to say use a servo motor, which I've got hooked up over here, you would just, I've got a pan tilt motor kind of set up, so 2 servo motors. I would make, say, the pan move around with servo 1 and tilt. Again, I'm getting a bunch of debug information. Servo 2. And then you would start them up just with pan.start. Hopefully my batteries are good. Alright, it's looking like it's moving. Tilt.start. Easy enough. Now they're set at kind of their neutral position. That's just how it works when you start them. They go to their neutral position. But I can move them like set angle 180. This is their default angle range. So he'll move over all the way over there. I can do tilt.set angle 0. But another thing I can do is I can change what the angle range is. So 0 to 180 is, nice, easy to kind of visualize. But if I wanted to move the angles based on some other, distribution of data, I might want to use a different voltage range. So I can change the angles like so. So I'll give it a new min and a max angle of 5. And that means that basically when you put in 180 before, that would be the same as putting in 5 now. So it's just redistributing it. So I can do that. And I'll show you why that's useful in a second. Now that's useful because now I can say give it a voltage between 0 and 5, and it'll go. I can just give it that voltage without having to rescale it to fit into 0 to 180. So now I could do this again, bring back the joystick. So while I'm not pressing the button, let's do pan dot set angle joystick x dot read volts and tilt dot set angle. So this is an interesting little application you can do pretty easily. Read volts. Right, that should do it, I think. And now you see it goes to neutral. Easy enough. Nothing too complicated there. So let's just stop that. Oh, click it. There, that stops it. Cool. So let's then move on to the next thing. I guess more with PWM that we've abstracted, which is actually quite new, which I don't think the documentation even reflects yet, is a tone library. We made a pretty good tone library. Let me stop that other PWM too. Okay, so we made a pretty good tone library where you can set kind of notes, MIDI notes, whatever, and you can use it for any of the PWMs. So there's no limitation there. You can use a number of them. I just made a whole 8-channel MIDI controller, which I have a video of playing some songs. And I'll show you that right now. So we can make a note pretty easily just with tone. Let's use 3. It's the one that's hooked up to a buzzer. And you should hear a noise when I hit note dot start. Maybe a quiet noise, but see, you hear a little. I can up the volume a little bit, as much as the buzzer will let me. And then you can kind of just set different notes. So it's right now just set its default, whatever that is, pretty low. So I can do any of these. So I can say do set MIDI, and by the MIDI standard, a MIDI note of 60 should be middle C. So that should be middle C approximately. And then I could turn this off real soon, I swear. Like I could just give it a note like A. I give it an A and I'll give it an octave, say 5. That should be the A note above middle C, because middle C, by my definition of it, is C5. So I'll give it that, A5. That should be the A. And then I could do like an A sharp. Pretty cool. I'll turn that off now. But that's pretty fun. Playing with musical tones is actually a lot of fun, especially when you get a bunch of buzzers working together. Oops. There we go. Turn that off. Once you get a bunch of notes working together, it's a lot of fun.